again, we'll just go back a couple lines on Ayin Aleph. The line begins with de-eitz daas tevora. Rosh Tevis, de-eitz daas tevora identifiable Menachem Israel. Coming down here below, where there is hardly any means of identifying pnimis from chitzonius, the Menachem Israel are capable of identifying it. They explain the de-eitz, in the middle of that line, the de-eitz, that being that she'ein bechinas ha'pnimis, that the Menachem Israel are the pnimis aspect, shekvar nivraru v'nivdalu l'maylo, which was already clarified and identified and separated l'maylo. In other words, yes, in Seder Hishtalshelus there's pnimis and chitzonius. Every pnimis, as we said, has chitzonius. But then the pnimis is uniquely identified by atzmos and separated, and then this is new bechira. This is what I really want. The Menachem Israel are after that bechira, which means that they are exclusively the pnimis. Nivdru v'nivdalu. This is all they are. They are the pnimis. Lochein, therefore, bekoichom davka, it is exclusively within their capability. Levarer ulahavdil lamata, to identify and clarify and to separate here below bein pnimis v'chitzonius, between pnimis and chitzonius. Why? Because they don't relate to chitzonius. They immediately sense this is not what it is. No matter how camouflage and how refined the difference is. Because they are already nivrum nivdalu. They're exclusively purely pnimis. Now he explains further this principle. Hine hamavarer v'haboicher b'bchinas hapnimis l'maylo. What is it that identifies and chooses the pnimis l'maylo? Chooses the pnimis that this is what I want. Harei zeh b'chinas atzmos yitzeh. That is the atzmos yitzeh. This is where the choice is made, in Atzmos. Atzmos identifies the pnimis with chitzonius, and Atzmos chooses the pnimis versus the chitzonius. Again, as we pointed out the whole time, this choice is not due to any identifiable quality. There's an interesting pasuk. Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Eden, this isn't coming soon to this. It says, Loi meirubchem mikol ha'amim choshek Hashem b'chem v'yivchar b'chem ki atem ha've'at mikol ha'am. Not as a result of your greater numbers or because of your greatness. Meirubchem can be both greater numbers, qualitative and quantitative and quality. Not because of your unique greatness, Hashem desired you and chose you. Vayivcha b'chem and chose you. Because in fact you are the smallest of all the nations. And Rashi says, refers to the numerical quantity. But there's a deeper implication in the pasuk. Because you have this nature of reducing yourself, of making yourself small, of beating. This is the unique quality of the Jewish people, of the Neshama. So who is it chooses Lamaila? Asmas ain't so. No, but it's not chosen because of, it's a pleasure to talk to you. None of that. So, in other words, what this is saying is, in order to clearly identify Pnimius versus Chitzonius, that is within the purview of Atzmus only. Only Atzmus senses the difference, and only Atzmus chooses that difference. Otherwise, there is no difference. Therefore, we have to say, sheyesh ba'toiro neshamos, that there is, therefore, in Torah and neshamos, gam bechinas ho'atzmus shel lamayla. Gam bechinas ho'atzmus, there is also the meaning from atzmus in Torah and neshamos. Shel lamayla gam mehatayim ho'atzmus. That is higher, also even from the Tainug Ho'atzmi. See, the Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Tainug Ho'atzmi, but since the Neshamas Yisrael have the capability of making this choice, of sensing this distinction, of so to speak, of non-distinction, which can only be sensed and identified by Atzmus, and the Neshamas Yisrael come down here lamato, and their mevare is a daas tevara. They're able to sense this distinction. It's not a different distinction. It's this and not this. That means in the Neshama Yisrael there is this element of atzmus, that which is higher even than Ayin Tainug Ho'atzmi, because this bechira is what identifies Tainug Ho'atzmi. Tainug Ho'atzmi is not an imperative thing that this is what that belongs with Atzmus. It is the choice of Atzmus that Tainug Ho'atzmi should be chosen. Therefore, the Neshama Yisrael have an element in them that is higher than the Tainug Ho'atzmi. Now, to whatever extent we understand this, but there is, so to speak, a technical question. If they are rooted in Tainug Ho'atzmi, how do they have that which is higher than Tainug Ho'atzmi? V'yesh loima. The explanation for that is that this special quality that they have, bechinas ho'atzmus, that is higher than Tainug Ho'atzmi, higher than their own source. How does that occur? Being that they were already identified and chosen within the Atzmus itself, which is higher than Tainug Ho'atzmi. Therefore, within them there is Tachlis HaKavona Ho'atzmi, the ultimate Kavanah of Atzmus. This choosing was identifying the Tachlis HaKavanah Ho'atzmus. That's what the choice represents. Neshamas contained that Tachlis HaKavanah because they were chosen. Nivru v'nivcharu. Therefore, in them there is the Tachlis HaKavanah Ho'atzmis, shechofetz kaviyochel b'pchinas hapnimis dafki. What is the Tachlis HaKavanah Ho'atzmis? That kaviyochel Hashem wants in b'pchinas hapnimis dafki, in the aspect of pnimis dafki. ultimate.
Ultimate.
We are medayik and pointing out how this Indian is extremely evasive, it's extremely sensitive, and every letter and every word is made is every nuance is an allusion to something. It says not bechinas apnimi, but bivchinas apnimi. So chofetz kaviyachol bivchinas apnimi davke, and doesn't say chofetz kaviyachol bechinas apnimi. Bechinas apnimi would be identifying the pnimi as an entity, an identifiable entity. Bivchinas apnimi means there is not an identifiable entity that's pnimi. Pnimi is an answer. But as it goes through Seder Hishtalshuls, there's an element that alludes, that relates to pnimis. It is not a presence, it alludes to the pnimis. And that is the chofetz kaviyachol bivchinas apnimis. In that bechina of pnimis, that this alludes to that this is what he wants. In simpler terms, that we can in some way relate to, we have good actions, and we have good kavanas, and good results. And as we said before, in every pnimis there is chitzonius. There's always an admixture. Bivchinas apnimis means the purity of the pnimis, not the pnimis that can be mixed, that has also a tinge of chitzonius. This, he says, is even higher than the shoyresh, than the shoyresh HaNefesh. This is higher than Chochmah. This is like in the etzem, in a Yidden. This is the Amunah. Amunah has no content. This is a chofetz kaviyachol b'bchinas hapnimi davke, b'bchinas hapnimi. In the pnimi bechina, no matter where you find it. Ve'alkein, and therefore yesh b'koycham gamkein levarer ol havdi. This is why the neshomas have the koyach levarer and to identify ol havdi and to separate lamato here below bein hapnimis v'chitzonius. From the pnimis and the chitzonius. Because they have this atzmius element. How do they have this atzmius element? They are the selection of atzmius. They are the selection. And therefore they exclusively relate to pnimis.
Do we say the answer of how they can be higher, if they're rooted in Tainika Atzmi, how is that they are...
Because on top of that, what they are rooted They were chosen. This choosing element, this is what imbued in them an atzmus element. In simple terms, in our terms, bring it down into Olam Hazeh, they are not what they are. They don't stand for the fact of what they are. They stand for the fact that they were chosen.
Mm.
This is why they have the koyach. Levado have the mato. Keep below. Where everything is camouflage, is in a worldly presence. Now in the so much soil they are able to focus in and identify pnimish things.
Which is connected with Bechira? Which
is due to their Bechira. Because Dira Lei Yisborech B'Tachtenim and Dira Lei Yisborech cannot be a mixed element. There has to be an element that is purely Dira Lei Yisborech. The Gemara says, the Tana brings it down, Kol mi sheyesh begasus haruach, everybody has a gasus haruach, coarseness of spirit. Why would you translate it? So Hashem says, Ein ani v'hu yichayim lodu. I and he cannot share the same dwelling. Call Hanal.
Could be that you said this a million times already, but what the connection between being chosen and the being able to identify between Panimis and Tzainis? What's the bridge between that?
Not a bridge. The choice is made by Atzmus. That is the only place where the choice can be made. The Shomesh Yisrael are that choice. Then this element came down in Staushos into this world. And then remained this element. What is the connection between the soil and the Eibishter? He gives them Chochmah, he gives them Bina, he gives them everything. No. They are his choice.
So therefore they were able to recognize other things.
That's the only thing they can recognize. Right.
Panimia. In other words, they recognize things that are like them.
Like them. They recognize that reality. Inherently, because that's what they are exclusively. With all their wisdom and all that, that's not what they are. This is on the periphery. There's a story of a Chassid from Baal Shem Tov. I'm scratching on his names, and this is a very common name. For some reason it eludes me at this moment. He desired to go to Eretz Yisrael very, very strongly.
Kitzes.
Huh?
Kitz.
Yeah, but what's his? It's Ayin Kitzes. What's his first name? He decided to go to Israel very slowly, and he asked permission when Baal Shem Tov to go up to Israel, and Baal Shem Tov would not agree. Finally, his desire that Israel had been so powerful, overtaking him, they decided he's going. He's not going to tell the Baal Shem Tov about it, he's just going to pick up and go. So he went. Baal Shem Tov sent his Mishoris. He said, go and follow this path and find this Kitzes. And
Wolf
tell
Kitzes.
huh?
Wolf Kitzes.
Wolf Kitzes. And Zev Kitzes. Right?
That's it.
Tell him I want Baal Shem Tov wants to see him. So he comes back to Baal Shem Tov. Comes in, Baal Shem Tov says, you did the right thing. You made the decision on your own, you did the right thing. And you can go. Except this was Friday, that's because then it's not. I want you to stay over here till after Shabbos. Then you'll go. No problem. Erev Shabbos geht man in mikveh. Baal Shem Tov said, I want you to go to mikveh together with me. So you can imagine what kind of person the Zev Kitzes was, and Baal Shem Tov agreed to have him in the mikveh together with him. So, went into the mikveh. Then afterwards, I don't remember if Baal Shem Tov called him or he came in. Says, no, when you're going? He says, I decided I'm not going. What happened? Why did you change your mind? For years you were bringing it to me. And I finally gave you permission. And now you decided not to go. So he said, because I went in the mikveh, and in the mikveh I was shown my whole trip. And I actually experienced my whole trip. I was traveling through this country, to this city, and coming through here until I reached Eretz Yisrael. I reached Eretz Yisrael, I started inquiring and I found Yerushalayim. I reached Yerushalayim, I found inquiring, where is Har HaBayis? I found the Har HaBayis. I found the Har HaBayis, I found the Beis Hamikdash. I found the Kochi Kochi. And I said, where is the Ayin? The Ayin is in Mezbush. So why do I have to go forward? The Ayin is in Mezbush. This is a pnimis. Bivchinas a pnimis. The Ayin is an Ayin. You know, a box with the luchas. Something to reckon with. What's in Mezbush? Ayin mit a Reiterboard. So Zev Kitzes decided he'll accept this up. Because we are looking bibchinas apnimis. And that is which is within the capacity exclusively of Neshamas Yisrael. Mikol Hanal, from all of the above, Yuvon, we'll be able to understand Eich. How is it? How it is? We explained one time the expression Eich. Eich means how. Not that, but how. That means we have a principle, we have a statement, this is how it is, this is what it is. How, to understand how, means that we can relate to it. We can actually sense what we're talking about. From this human Eich in Shomet Yisrael Shorsha. How, the how of the Shomet Yisrael Shorsha. Who b'bchinas pnimis v'yatzmos ein sof. The Shorsha is in the b'china of pnimis v'yatzmos ein sof. The Hainu, what is the meaning that it is Shosham Bibchinas Pnimis V'Asmus Ein Sof? It means the Hainu Bibchinas Helem Ho'atzmi De Chochma Hagdum. Now we were talking about Pnimis v'atzmos ha'eina, pnimis v'atzmos ha'chochma. Now we're saying pnimis v'atzmos ein sof. This is not, there is no qualitative way of describing it, of referring to it. And this is what's called Helem ha'atzmi de chochma hagdum. And I say the parenthesis, Loi rag b'chinas ha'orach hitzenis ha'bo v'yishtalshus. Not just the ha'orach, the meaning for ha'orach hitzenis, how ha'bo v'yishtalshus, that can be yishtalshus, but it is the helem ha'atzmi itself. What is yishtalshus? Come into this. This is all for the purpose that we should sense what we're talking about. We said yesterday that one thing about Chochmah is that Chochmah, despite the fact that it has this deepest of insights, it is actually a bridge between Atzmos and the world, between the Nefesh and the world, Oy Megurot and the world. Because in Chochmah there is both. There is, as we said, in sight, we have the expanse. In spite of that, we have the expanse, but what is sight actually identified with? The nakuda, the reality behind this expanse. The expanse allows for hishtalshus. What's expanse? Expanse means a broad provision. You can build all kinds of different things in this. There's room. This is what comes with hishtalshus. This is the reality of space that comes with hishtalshus. This is the chitzonis. This is the gil. What is the nakuda ha'atzmis in this? As we said yesterday. Why is it that we are able to, that we have this huge expanse in Chochmah? Because we recognize the nakuda ha'atzmis, where it's coming from. What allows it to be? The reality behind it. So this was said that the Shomet Yisrael are rooted in Helem ha'atzmi de chochma hagdum. The principle of Helem, the term Helem is explained the other day. There is a sense, like we have, of something that it's there not because we have experienced it and because we came in contact with it, but it is inherently there. The Helem. Shomet Yisrael are rooted behelem, not the Chochmah, as Chochmah already speaks for itself. Chochmah Hagdum, the pristine Chochmah. Lo yirah b'chinas ha'orach hitzenis bo b'yishtalshus. This is where it expresses itself it can come with hishtalshus. If we were to give some kind of a terminology to identify pnimis and ha'orach hitzenis of the same thing, Like we said the other day, we spoke about the earth. When people thought the earth was flat, they had no, they were not scared that it was going to fall off because it's huge. It's huge. But that thing that they're not going to fall off is a precarious thing. It happens to be that they're not going to fall off. This is called Haruch Pnimis is not huge at all, but it's fundamental reality. There is no such thing as falling. It's impossible. There's nothing outside of Elokus. This is Pnimis. Pnimis is not identified by quantity at all. You can stand on a needle point, and you're as safe as ever, as solid as ever, without any qualms whatsoever. Even more secure than in a huge expanse of space. This is in our terminology. That's what Hela Moatzim de Chochma. There's nothing there, but that is the Etzim. This is the Etzim itself. That's before Chochma expresses itself and say, wait, what? This Etzim can produce infinite, it can correspond, and if you want to express it in space and time, it'll be an infinite expanse of space and time. As much as you will express it in space and time, you will never express it in this principle fully. Because space and time, no matter how great it is space and time, and there's a limit, and this is limitless. This is reality itself.
Let's just go back to the mashal of the simcha of the wedding, where ultimately the party will die down. But
that mashal is for the purpose of identification. It doesn't explain. Yes, it's all correlated, but that mashal is for the purpose of Havdalah, of identifying. We're talking about what this is. In your pnimi, the Neshomish is rooted in Helem Hoasim de Chochma. What does that mean? It's impossible otherwise. Doesn't mean it's not there because it is such and such. And therefore, and this such and such, it's imperative that this should be like this. Helem, it's Helem. I'm not even giving you an explanation why. Okay, overstayed. Welcome. Okay, this is it for this morning.